It's one of the main parts of life, whether you like it or not. It puts food on the table, keeps our economy moving, and is always a topic in determining who's elected.
Like I say, I'm doing this just for the extra cash.
We're talking about jobs. This week, we're in Seattle. This city is home to some of the biggest companies in the world, including one that's changing the employment landscape, Amazon. We're looking at how the idea of a job has changed from this to this.
The goal is not to eliminate a lot of jobs.
Plus, what all those job numbers really mean about America's future and whether you can trust them. But don't worry, we're not here to start your work week just yet. So sit back and join us. This is The Race. Welcome into The Race. I'm Chris Stewart. Each week leading up to the 2020 election, we're taking a look at different issues that are going to have an impact on your vote. This week, we're in Seattle. You can take a look behind us here at these spheres. This is part of Amazon's headquarters in town. There's no doubt this company's impact, not just on jobs, which is what we're talking about this week, but an impact on so many different aspects of our lives. And during this show, our team is nationwide, taking a look at a lot of issues when it comes to jobs, like why baby boomers are working beyond retirement age and how some companies get away with just paying their employees $2 an hour. We're going to start with Corey Rangel, who's taking a look at the latest job numbers.
The U.S. economy added 130,000 jobs in August.
I would simply say Americans are working.
The 107th straight month of gains.
Payroll jobs are coming in at well above the level that new people are entering the labor market.
But the growth is starting to slow down. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell thinks he knows why.
I think it is the case that uncertainty around trade policy is causing some companies to hold back now.
The new report shows a boom in new government jobs in August, including 25,000 temporary census jobs. But if you take them away, the economy added 96,000 jobs. That's the fewest since May. I'm Corey Rangel for The Race.
Now, you hear about those job numbers when they come out every month, but the government actually revises them twice before they're final. So what can you really take away from that? Annie Taylor's digging into just how often those numbers are right.
Chris, our partner PolitiFact found that the job numbers we hear on the news are really just estimates. The government bases the first numbers off a survey that relies on about 142,000 companies to self-report their payroll information. Now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics considers that sample to be pretty solid, but not all businesses get their data in on time. Sometimes it takes 2 extra months for them to get it in, and then it publishes revised numbers from there. PolitiFact analyzed data from this summer. As an example, it found the June job numbers were revised down twice by a total of 46,000 jobs. Now, this isn't anything new to the BLS. It says its estimates are getting more accurate. The benchmark revision happens about once a year, and it uses unemployment insurance tax records and is considered more accurate than other reports. Experts say this report can show more dramatic changes in employment data. So, do the revisions really matter? Well, economists say they pay attention, but they don't obsess over them. And in the end, they're more concerned with the final numbers than the size of the adjustment. I'm Annie Taylor for The Race.
According to a new poll, almost 3/4 of economists think there will be a recession by the end of 2021. Now, that's bringing back some bad memories for people impacted by the last financial crisis.
The main operation basically is employment and training.
Jim Perry's been helping people in Michigan fine-tune their skills and find work for almost 40 years.
We helped many of the people that lost their jobs due to plant closings go back to work.
He's the executive director for the Downriver Community Conference, but he's been doing public service with the organization since 1981.
The loss of a job and a stable income is a disruptive influence in people's lives. They have house payments, car payments. They may have children going to school.
You can say,
right here we have veterans programs.
He's passionate.
The ARP program.
Perry's team helps people who are laid off or lose their job to a closure.
And assist them with their resumes and job skills that they may have not looked for a job for many years.
Perry remembers the recession that crippled Americans a decade ago.
I don't think we have anything near what we had in 2008.
He's not alone. The Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, agrees. He thinks the economy is on solid ground.
So we're not forecasting or expecting a recession. The consumer's in good shape. Our main expectation is not at all that there'll be a recession.
If you ask Jim, there's a bigger issue at play.
I've been preaching it for 30 years. Hopefully someone will listen.
and that's the aging skilled workforce.
It's kind of like having a basketball team. You can have your veteran players, but you better have some young players coming up if you want your team to be good.
He thinks schools can help by exposing students to skilled trades.
It's electrical, robotics technicians, welders, pipe fitters, carpenters. Having a skilled trade is a skill that it takes 4 years to get. So it's just like having a college degree, except right out of the gates you're going to make a certain amount of money.
Even with a strong economy, Perry says there will always be temporary layoffs, and his team will always be there to help.
We're hoping that they go back to work soon. It's just it's a temporary setback, as I say. It's like losing the game, but you can come back and have another shot at it because you're gonna play it again.
Even without talks of a potential recession, a major question that is facing families across the country is, how do we afford to live? The answer to that question really depends on where you live. We looked at national averages for 2017 to get the big picture. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that year, the average person earned more than $73,000 before taxes. In the same year, the average American spent $60,000 on core categories. Now, wages are up $1.09 in the last year, according to ADP, and there are plenty of opinions on minimum wage. The federal minimum wage has been at $7.25 an hour for a decade, and Elizabeth Ruiz is taking a closer look at the minimum wage debate.
That is perfect.
Caitlin Hudson started working at a fast casual restaurant when she was 18 years old.
Black beans, awesome.
It was her income as she tried to get herself through school, but minimum wage was not enough for her daily needs.
I was not able to afford food for myself. I could not pay my rent. I couldn't pay bus fare. It was very difficult. And I definitely, if I couldn't provide for myself, I wouldn't be able to provide for a family.
Caitlin now has a 2.5-year-old son and says she wouldn't be able to support him if it wasn't for a recent change made to her pay. Illegal Pete's in Denver, Colorado has raised its minimum wage from $9 to $15 within the past 3.5 years, transforming that minimum wage into a living wage.
It covers lodging, food, paid time off, education, savings. Basically the ability to work one job and plan for the future. The biggest challenge is an immediate hit to your expense line, to your payroll line.
Illegal Pete's owner and namesake Pete Turner says the last time he raised employee pay, it cost him about $2 million. However, he sees it as an investment. The idea is to create a productive work environment where people are more committed to the customer and the company.
So the pork bowl and the large chips and queso?
Pete says he's saving money by not having excessive employee turnover.
The rule of thumb for losing a frontline worker and then having to rehire and retrain is like $1,500 to $2,500 an employee.
Hello there.
For Caitlin, having a disposable income is a new comfort in her life.
This is the first time in my life that I have seen stability, and that's really amazing for me to think of.
For The Race, I'm Elizabeth Ruiz reporting.
Much more when The Race continues from Seattle.